Hey everyone, hope you having a great new year. And it's been a pretty awesome, off to an awesome start. I went to watch Avatar today, and Avatar has spoken to me since day one. I remember when Avatar first came out, I was still in active addiction and still like selling drugs and doing all kinds of different stuff like that. And watching it today, it's like, now I'm, on a completely different path and journey than when it first came out. But I try to not, I always try to remember where I came from. And, I was a hopeless addict, like crash and burn, would, my favorite drug of choice was what do you have? So I preferred, to take all these different things at once and kind of see where that led me. And it led me to nothing but, pain and misery and suffering. But through, if you can think back on, different points in your life, it's usually through your rock bottoms and your greatest pain and suffering is when you have some of your greatest breakthroughs as far as evolving you and preparing you for your next level of evolution of life. um, and I can just remember back when it was shortly after I had gotten shot and in my knee and was on the operating table. They didn't know if they were going to amputate my leg or what the case was. And what's funny is, what's not funny is, well, my mom had said a few days before to herself, because of course she was worrying herself to death, about the decisions I was making. Is she said, he's either gonna make it or I'm gonna have to be okay burying him. And like 4 days later, she got the call that I'd gotten shot. So I'm sure that was probably just like a knife to her heart. But you never really understand, when you're in that kind of egotistical mentality about all the other loved ones that, are affected by the choices you're making. Um, and then when I got incarcerated is, I really wanted to change my life around. I mean, I had blown my whole father's estate. Um, there was a girl that I was with right before that time. I'd completely ruined that relationship. Um, a lot of other things, had transpired, and I kind of just felt like, I'd literally lost everything. And, it was literally, it's like everything had to be stripped from me for, me to be just okay with me, like in the very beginning, and when you're in those, those moments of hopelessness, there's always a lifeline being casted to you. And I went to the Alpha program, which was a drug treatment program, and my counselor, she was perfectly aligned with, um, different beliefs and things that, because I had already begun my awakening journey a long time ago, but, got a little derailed. And she was a huge influence, on helping me work through all these different issues. And, that's the thing, is that when you get sober again, the first thing that comes back is all the emotions, and you're clearly thinking about all these different things, or what you could have done different, and, how am I going to get out of this, and all these different fears and doubts come up. Um, but the thing is that what she taught me is that it's okay to just sit with your emotions and feel them like you're sitting on a park bench. Um, it's not the emotion that's the issue. It's the thought pattern that transpires from the emotion. So we're human beings, so love, anger, all these different emotions are natural. But it's when you start thinking and have that spiral thinking that spins off into God knows what up, like that's the issue. Well, when you're psychologically torturing yourself, but actually just sitting with and feeling your emotions and accepting it and being okay with it. It's actually real, it takes the empowerment back to yourself and helps you feel empowered about being able to control your emotions and then, be able to healthily be able to release that healthy and, things like that. So, but I believe a lot of the addicts that are out there, I believe they're star seeds and indigo children. I mean, if you look at the definition of indigo children, they're kind of like, they live outside the lines a little bit. They push boundaries, don't fit in, as far as with like societal norms and things like that. Well, if, we came from, different dimensional realities or different star nation planets where, it is of a loving vibration. And then you come down here to the division of between, ego and love and good and evil and all these different things. And that's the way it was on Earth, it can be very challenging. And so then, um, some of us choose to self-medicate and just try to escape reality or whatever the case is. But the thing is that when you are, because I'm a firm believer in moderation, right? Now, for some people like me, moderation doesn't work because I'm going to moderately use as much as I can. But, if it's not affecting your day-to-day life, then whatever. But when you're taking in substances, if you're not you don't have like protection around you, or you've hold space or cleared space, with either sage or set intentions and things like that, entities can come in and attach themselves to your aura. My mom has had, different negative entities that have attached to her. I've had different negative entities attached to me. I've actually had the experience in Reiki where something guided me to do their chakras, and this was at the point where like I knew what the chakras were, but I didn't know what colors they were or what they, the meaning behind them. I just knew the names of them and where the placement was. And while I was doing this healing, I kept seeing the color yellow. And I was just like, all right, well, that's interesting. And then as I was going down the chakras, I got to the solar plexus. And all of a sudden, I saw this like dark entity, like kind of like your ghostly, demonic looking face or whatever. And I just continued to give healing and healing and healing until I cleared it. And it was like I felt like like it was like a mild pain in my wrist in that moment. And the person that I was giving the healing on suffered from, a lot of anxiety and PTSD and things like that. Well, in your solar plexus, that's where it's stored, in your gut and stuff like that. So that was just an interesting situation. But, that's one thing where they call alcohol spirits, is because it allows spirits to come in. That's why alcohol is legal, and things like, like the benefits of using marijuana or like different things like that aren't, is because, they don't want people to be healthy. They want you to be drunk and obnoxious. And I don't have any problem with people that drink or anything like that. I mean, I don't drink, but the point is that, when I was in the Alpha program, is that usually every addict, they have one major underlying factor that has led them to addiction. And for me, was the relationship that I had with my father. I love my father to death. He was an awesome man. But we had some issues that we needed to work through. And when he passed, none of those issues got resolved. And so then it's like he shook up a soda and just sat it down on the counter. As soon as it opened, it exploded everywhere. And so what I did is, what my counselor advised me to do is just write a letter to myself, a huge detailed letter about everything and anything, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things that I wish, could have been resolved or said, things left unsaid, whatever the case was. And it was like a 4 or 5 page letter back to back. And then I read it to myself, and of course I was crying. It was really emotional. And but after I read that letter to myself, it was like I literally released all those things that were inside of me. And so that was like my first experience of really doing shadow work. And doing shadow work is so important, not only for addicts, but for everybody. It's facing all the things that are in yourself that you don't want to face. And it's not easy, it's not fun, it can be an emotional roller coaster. But that it can be a profound way of healing yourself. Now, I'm not talking about reliving trauma and staying in that state of trauma, but um, acknowledging it and then releasing it and letting it go, so it's not feeding poison to yourself anymore. But and then throughout my recovery, I've done all kinds of different inner work since then, with meditation and Reiki and different kind of modalities like that. And I remember when I first got out of jail, all I had was 2 trash bags full of clothes in an empty apartment, wondering how I was going to build my life again. But if I really was trying to live my life as consciously as possible, and in doing so, day by day, I was able to grow and have the most, in my opinion, beautiful life. As far as I found Ingrid, the love of my life, my daughter, career path, spiritual breakthroughs. And yeah, it took a lot of time to get all those things back, but the point is to fall in love with the journey. No matter what journey you're on a journey for a specific reason, and be okay with where you're at now, because that's exactly where you're supposed to be. Too many times we get caught up in the future or in the past, and those are literally conspiracy theories about yourself that don't even exist. And then you're just missing the present moment. And so, removing people that no longer serve you, and, changing the way you think, because your thoughts, words, and deeds manifest your reality. Setting intentions and consciously living your life, but then also having the belief within yourself, and the empowerment within yourself. And when you start doing those things, it can have a profound effect on changing your life. So I just, people from my past, they always, some of them ask, oh, Jesse, I can't believe you're sober and doing all these things that you're doing. That's awesome. But then, like, people that I've met after my sobriety, they're like, I can't even believe you used to do that stuff. Like, I could never see you doing that stuff. So, but, yeah, I just want to help, because, especially with addiction, it can be a long road to recovery. But I just want you all to know that you're worth it. And I hope you all have a great night and evening, and we'll see you soon.